Welcome to Hacking the Hustle. This is your host, Benjamin Sklar, and I'm really excited to have Yonah Weiss on the podcast. How you doing, Yonah?
I'm doing wonderfully, Benjamin. It is my pleasure to be joining you today.
Fantastic. So let me share a little background on you, Yonah. Yonah, for those listening, is a powerhouse with property owners' tax savings. As the business director at Madison Specs, a national cost segregation leader, he's assisted clients in saving tens of millions of dollars on taxes through cost segregation. He has a background in teaching and has a passion for real estate and helping others. He's a real estate investor and the host of his own podcast called Weiss Advice. So great to have you on the podcast, Yonah. I know you're a well-known, popular guy in the real estate community. And as a former Israeli paratrooper, it's awesome to be talking to someone of your stature and of your background. So welcome to the show.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thank you. Thank you again. Happy to jump in this conversation.
Awesome, Yonah. So let's just kick it off. On this podcast, unlike the others, I've created a list of questions that I want to ask all of my guests, and I plan on asking all the guests in the future the same exact questions. So hopefully there will be some insights that my audience can gain from how people respond. So
Sure.
Here we go. What is your title?
I'm the business director.
What industry do you work in?
Real estate industry.
What's your job role?
Business development, which basically means client relations, interface, and outreach.
Mm-hmm. What's your product or service?
It's something called cost segregation, which is a very niche engineering and tax service for commercial real estate owners.
And why would a real estate owner want to speak with you?
If they want to pay less income tax.
That sounds important.
Which most people do.
That's right. How is your job measured?
For me, it's measured, how many people I can help.
Mm-hmm. What does it mean to be successful in your role?
In the role specifically,
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's successful to, help more people. The more people I can reach out to, the more people I can share with the wisdom about cost segregation and, help them with their taxes. I think that's considered monetarily more successful for the company.
Nice. What are your biggest challenges?
Biggest challenges personally in the business itself are, number one, for me personally, just keeping up with everything, the data and, just busy work, filing, things like that, as well as reaching more people. It's always a challenge. So that's what we're doing.
Right. What is the size of your company in regards to revenue, employees?
So it's a branch of a larger company, Madison Commercial Real Estate Services, Madison Title. I think most people in New York who are in real estate have heard of Madison Title, Madison Commercial. I think the overall company has close to 1,000 employees. Our specific branch of Madison Specs, which is the cost segregation branch, I believe we have about 60 employees currently. I'm not sure about the overall revenue. I believe our individual company is somewhere between 5 to 10 million.
Mm-hmm. Nice. It's a good sized company. What does a typical day look like for you?
I spend the majority of my day recently, on social media. So I'm posting on LinkedIn, Facebook. I just started Instagram recently, but mostly focused on LinkedIn. A lot of networking. I believe LinkedIn is an incredible networking platform, and reaching out to a lot of people and just engaging with other posts, and a lot of time spent in emails. And probably a day doesn't go by that I'm not on a podcast.
Wow. Incredible. What skills are required to do your job?
I think communication skills are the most important. Public speaking is one of them, since I'm doing a lot of webinars and doing a lot of podcasts, speaking with people. So those are important things. Although the service itself is very tax oriented, because it's a tax service, we have a whole team of accountants in our company. But what I do specifically, you have to have a little bit of understanding of taxes, obviously, but you don't need to be a CPA to do what I do.
Got it. What knowledge and tools do you use in your job?
The knowledge of the real estate industry. I think understanding the markets, understanding the current state of the industry, what people are struggling with, what people are going through, and the tax knowledge in general is really good. But since I'm client interfacing, most of the day it is talking with people who own real estate or real estate investors. So the knowledge of that is much better in terms of conversation.
Got it. What would you say you're responsible for?
Responsible for, I guess, myself. I don't know.
All right.
Besides for that, yeah, responsible for making sure that those clients are well serviced and have open lines of communication.
Mhm. What publications or blogs do you read?
I like to spend a lot of time on Bigger Pockets.
Mhm.
So I'll check out the blog there. There's some authors that I enjoy on Bigger Pockets. I don't read a lot of other publications per se. I listen to some things, and to be honest, most of my industry knowledge comes with conversations with those people and going to conferences and hearing real life experts who are hands on in the industry.
Right. What associations and social networks do you participate in?
Associations. So we've been a part of ICSC for many years, the International Shopping Center Conference. IMN, which is another great conference network of in the real estate industry. Social networks, I guess, LinkedIn, like we said, very, very, very active. On Facebook, I'm a part of a number of very specific real estate and multifamily specifically groups. And so those are pretty centered around that. There's a lot of my clients who run them. So it gives me a good position in them. There's a guy, Rod Khalif, who's a very popular as the largest multifamily Facebook group out there. I think like 60, 70,000 members. One of those.
Got it. All right, so now I'm changing my questions and we're going to go more general and personal.
Okay,
So
let's
tell
do
me
it.
about your career path. How did you end up where you are today?
I spent a good portion of 2 decades, so about 15 years in studying and teaching. So it was really, and that was not in secular school, more religious, yeshiva, kollel, that kind of thing. So people listening, if they understand what that is, that's good. If not, it's like university for the Jewish Orthodox people.
Mhm.
And so I spent about 15 years full time doing that. And at a certain point, I wanted to branch out and do something else, and mostly because of monetary reasons. Just needed some more income coming through, but I didn't want to have any more formal education. I had a college degree, but never really used it. It was a degree in history. It was more kind of just to get the paper than anything else. But so I figured, what can I get into that, number one, has the least amount of formal, it doesn't require any formal education, what type of industry, and number two, simultaneously with that, was the greatest potential income reach. So the real estate industry kind of fit those two together. And I knew a lot of different people doing that. So I started off doing commercial mortgages. I think a lot of people start in that side of things, and then doing some residential brokerage. I was doing that for about 2 years as a real estate broker. And then I kind of found this company, Madison, and it really took off from there.
Awesome. What's one thing you wish you had known when you began your career?
I wish I just knew more people. Because what I found is they say it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. And I truly, honestly believe that. In fact, I start off the introduction of my podcast, Weiss Advice, is your network is your net worth. And I honestly believe that who you know is everything. And so had I been more well-connected back then as I was today, I may have taken quite a faster and different path.
Wow. I completely agree with that. I like that a lot. What would you say are the best resources that have helped you along the way?
Sorry, I lost you for a second there, Ben.
Can you hear me now? Sorry about that. My question was, what are the best resources that have helped you along the way in your career?
The biggest resource that's helped me, I think, has been LinkedIn. Literally, it's been an incredible game changer with just the network, meeting people, meeting the right people, and getting in front of the right people, and as a platform to provide, a tremendous amount of content for people to consume and engage with people that way.
Hmm. I couldn't agree more. Who do you think are the three people who have been most influential to you?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, specifically in this real estate, I would say one, a colleague of mine, Yitz Goldman, his name is. He's, very, very supportive of everything that I do.
Hmm.
Always there for me. I'd say secondly would be another friend and previous business partner, David Weinstein. He currently runs a mortgage company, a private bank, basically. And, we started off together when I was doing more commercial mortgages all those years back. And he's really been a great support and guidance for me. And the third person I would say would be Gary Vaynerchuk. I haven't never met him,
Hmm.
but his marketing approach is just genius. And I've followed a lot of his content and a lot of his approaches, not necessarily his personality,
Hmm.
and some of his idiosyncrasies, which I don't relate with that much, but his marketing is spot on.
How would you define his marketing strategies?
I mean, it's probably best defined in one of the books that he wrote, Jab, 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 Right Hook, right? Which he originally wanted to call Jab, 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 Right Hook. I think like 20 jabs, and his editors wouldn't allow it. But the point is that you add value first
Hmm.
before you ask, right? So you're constantly just trying to help people, trying to add value as much as possible, and you create relationships that way. And that's the best marketing and sales technique that exists.
Love it. What is one common myth about your profession or field that you want to debunk?
Specifically cost segregation, I think the biggest myth is that or I guess misconception maybe, is that it's only for really big commercial, property owners, big companies that have, tens or hundreds of millions in holdings.
Hmm.
And that couldn't be further from the truth. Anyone who has purchased an investment property, commercial property for over $500,000, which is not a lot of money when it comes to commercial real estate, especially when you're getting a large portion of that financed by a
Hmm.
bank, they can get tremendous tax benefit.
Hmm. Interesting. Okay. If you had an extra $1 million in your budget, how would you spend it?
I would probably put half of it towards maybe like 70-80% actually into real estate
Hmm.
myself, investing, which is something we didn't talk about at all, but it's something I'm currently transitioning into as well, more actively as a multifamily real estate investor. So that's what I would do. I'd probably put a lot of it towards that, and a good portion of the other amount, probably hire a few assistants.
Hey, yeah, I hear you there. What's the biggest surprise you've had in the last few months, and why?
I'm surprised on, I think everyone's been surprised with what happened with, this whole Corona situation. But what's been more surprising to me is how many people have learned to pivot within that and find ways to make things work that they may not have thought of before. And I'll give you a quick example. I mean, myself personally, I know a lot of other people have taken this route. We're very used to going to, these huge, networking events and conferences every other month, 2, 3, 4, 5 times a year. That suddenly is gone, and that's a huge, source of business and source of relationships, which, leads to a lot of business. So a lot of people were kind of crippled when that happened. I started a online virtual real estate meetup, like a weekly meetup where I get every week anywhere from 30 to 100 people
Wow.
coming on a Zoom call and get a different speaker every week. And it's just a great time. And we do some networking with these new Zoom breakout rooms. So that was a big surprise to me to see how actively people are, needing that
Hmm.
and thriving even within that, kind of saying what can we do in our current situation? This is the best option. Okay, let's go in all in on that.
That's amazing. So it's obvious that you want to meet more investors through your business. What kind of investors do you want to speak with?
I enjoy speaking to beginners.
Hmm.
I find because my background is in teaching, I find it, very, fulfilling to help someone understand these concepts that they may not have, may not have known anything about, as opposed to like, a big company that they've been doing this for years and they're just kind of looking for, to another vendor and trying to price it out, different things like that. So those are, I'm more about the relationships, more about long-term, and of course, now that I'm getting involved in real estate investing myself through this, I find that I relate much more to those people who are kind of starting out.
Right. How do you meet these investors today?
Like I said, mostly through online, through social media, through these conferences, through webinars, these podcasts that I'm doing.
Mhm.
I get a lot of in reach
Right.
from that.
What information would you want to know about the investor before you speak with them?
I think I'd want to know, number one, if they own currently commercial properties or real estate investing and how long they've been involved for. I'd want to know, um, what their business plan is. Are they buy and hold type people? Are they fix and flip type people?
Hmm.
Kind of just get to know them and their business strategies.
How long do you feel like these conversations need to be?
Usually, I mean, I can get through about 15, 20-minute conversations. I have on my Calendly, calendar app. I have filled up, every day I have these conversations with, several people, and that's it. That's usually quite enough. 15, 20 minutes is great.
Nice. What time of day is ideal for you?
All day long, all day long.
And are they over phone or video chat?
Both.
Hmm. How often would you want to speak with an investor if you could every day? How often would you want to speak with new investors?
Oh, new people
Hmm.
every day, all day. The
Got
more
it.
the merrier, which is really why, the podcasting is great, because it allows you to kind of speak to people at scale.
Right. My goal is with Forge, which is the platform, the company that I'm building. It sounds like you'd be an ideal user because it's a networking platform where you can speak with other people interested in commercial real estate investing online over video chat without having to schedule anything beforehand. They're going to meet you on the platform. You can see their profile and you can skip if you don't like what you see, or you can simply go live and you can
Right.
spend time on the platform. After this podcast, I'll let you know about
Yeah.
it. We just launched.
Sure. Oh,
So
awesome.
so it was interesting to ask you these kind of questions in this type of order because I've never done this before. Rather than going through a natural flow conversation, I just threw you like sporadic random questions at you. I don't know if I'm going to do this again or not because it kind of felt like I was kind of out of flow, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the way I manage this podcast.
It's great. It's a great form of interviewing.
Hmm.
It's obviously less conversational and
Hmm.
more getting to the point, which is great. When it would be perfect for repurposing also
Hmm.
into kind of blog or article format, which I think has a great value over just having kind of a random conversation and like kind of going into deeper questions and long-ended questions. So
Right.
this, is something really easy. You can just, transcribe this, put it out there, and it's very valuable.
Nice. I actually agree with you in the sense that instead of having the dialogues and conversation, it was very to the point. Give me the facts. Give me the good stuff. So, Yonah, before I let you go, the signature question that I've asked my guests is, if there's one thing that you could do to improve this world, the world we live in today, what would you do and why?
Just, it's a great question. one thing I would do, if I could do one thing, is just deeply ingrain in people the value or the importance of helping other people,
Mm-hmm.
right? We're so self-centered. We think about ourselves, and we're born that way. It's innate to our traits, are human psyche. But helping others and being other focused, altruistic, is really, that's the goal.
Mm-hmm.
And to get there, it's a struggle. It takes time and a lot of effort, but ultimately I think that's the point of why we're here in this world. And ultimately it helps you much more so than if you're focused on yourself.
Right. I couldn't agree more. That was very well said. Thank you so much, Yonah, for hopping on the Hacking the Hustle podcast. It was great to speak with you. It's an honor. And I hope to meet you in person. And I look forward to seeing your content on LinkedIn and staying in touch.
Awesome. Thank you. Likewise. This is great. I enjoyed the conversation, and wish you best of luck.
Awesome.